by the right of the council, by the will of the Force. This is Jedi Talk's official Star Wars Podcast Day episode. So we have something incredibly special for you today. As I just intro us in before we roll right into it. So this is the second year in a row that Jedi Talk has been a part of Star Wars Podcast Day. Go check them out on Instagram at Star Wars Pod Day, Facebook, Star Wars Podcast Day. There's hundreds, so many different other Star Wars podcasts taken involved. Some great shows. If you want to check it out, give them a listen. If everybody listening to hear us Jedi Talk for the first time, we appreciate you. But we have something incredibly special. So we're not the first Jedi Talk, the first Star Wars podcast ever, which 25 years ago, by the way, 1999, was by the name of Jedi Talk. And that was hosted by somebody by the name of Lucien Maier, who we talked to last year on the show. And we caught up with Lucien again this year. The force is strong in the Batcave here, surrounding all these figures, because it talked about Star Wars. So enjoy two things today. The first thing you're going to hear is our chat with Lucien Maier here on Star Wars Podcast to catch up with what he's doing. And everything that he's mentioned is going to be in the description of this episode, anywhere you get your podcasts, and we'll be sure to tag on Instagram as well. But then the second part, Jedi Talk just got done doing a panel at MegaCon 2024, which was fantastic, by the way, and I cannot wait to recap that with Evan and Brad on the next time we record. But what you're going to hear now is the audio from that panel itself after you hear us chat with Lucien. So enjoy this special episode. Happy Star Wars Podcast Day. Follow us at Jedi Talk Podcast on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube.com/Jedi Talk. Have a great one.
One happy Star Wars Podcast Day. And we can finally say annually, Evan and Brad, that we're doing this here on Jedi Talk, a Star Wars podcast, bringing back the same individual that we talked to last year in 2023. Can you believe it's 2024 already? And it's Star Wars Podcast Day. We're celebrating hundreds upon hundreds of fantastic podcasts. Now, we may not listen to all of them. However, if they're talking about Star Wars, they're already in our hearts because we're all doing the same thing and it gives us a space to do so. But for those of you that don't know, we're not the first Jedi Talk.
No.
And Brad did not steal it, but I'll let Brad explain that real quick before we introduce our guest.
So back before The Force Awakens was coming out, I was doing a podcast called the Daily Disney Blog Podcast, and I started doing covering Star Wars because I was getting so hyped for The Force Awakens. I've been a lifelong Star Wars fan my entire life, and I was starting to just talk too much about Star Wars for it being like a Disney podcast. Granted, it is Disney, but people who listen to Disney Park stuff don't necessarily want to hear about Star Wars stuff. So I decided I wanted to make it my own show. And so it was still on the Daily Disney Blog Podcast Network, which is what you're listening to now. And we decided to change it to the name I came up with Jedi Talk. Now, how did I come up with the name Jedi Talk? I was a huge fan of Collider Movie Talk back in the day. And they had a show called it was the Jedi Council. Jedi Council. I can't remember if it was Jedi Council. And they had their other show was called Movie Talk. And since I was such a huge fan, I was just like, what would be like the most simple name to make a Star Wars show? Because that way people see it and they know exactly what it is. So it's not like I even remember thinking of the term Rebel Radio, then finding out that was actually already a podcast. And I was like, well, Jedi Talk, because you know exactly what a Jedi is, and you get that that you're talking about Star Wars. So I was like, Jedi Talk it is. I did look up like if there was anyone else with that name, and there was a podcast, but it wasn't this one. It was another podcast that had not been active in like 3 or 4 years. They released 2 episodes, and that was it. So I was like, I feel like it's fair.
Yeah, this one that you're talking about is the first ever host of the first ever Jedi Talk. Lucien Maier, who we have back again for Star Wars Podcast
Credit
Day.
where credit is due.
So,
absolutely.
Welcome back, sir. How the hell are you?
I am really good. A lot of really exciting, cool stuff. I feel like I get to play with the future every day. So
tell us about that. Really, I'm excited to hear about this.
Really on a good path.
I'm excited to hear about this. I didn't tell Brad and Evan about it. You and I conversed a little bit by email, but what are you working on right now? Tell the masses.
So, like I say, in preparation of today, I was just trying to get myself ready for trying to step back 20 years. But, it's what I'm working on right now is I've been lucky enough to venture into my own video game studio over the last 2 years. And we've developed a video game on the Unreal 5 platform.
Hell yeah.
Which is, if you're a gamer, you'll know that's one of the, elitist cool things right now. And it's a game where the player is entirely able to create a map with 50 different realistic and stylized biomes with trees and rocks and things like that. And as you terraform, the trees and rocks will fall and roll into the ocean. It's great.
That's so cool.
And
That's awesome.
As a gamer myself, I'm really enthusiastic about that part. I get lost in my own game all the time. That's pretty ridiculous.
That's cool, man.
And then on the other side of that, once you've built your world, then you can save it, share it with all your friends on Steam Workshop, and then all go play a survival type game on it. So like Conan or Ark. You can all play on this world and build houses that are destroyable and fight with each other and whatever you want to do. There's cars, there's boats. So it's kind of like, build your own video game.
That's so
It's
cool.
a lot of fun, and it's actually one step in a goal towards something I came up with long ago, which is when I saw Pac-Man when I was 8 years old in the cabinet, the first time I was like, this one day we're going to play movies. And people, there was a person next to me that kind of scoffed at me. And then I was thinking to myself, and one day we'll be able to make movies in a video game. And that's something that I never saw come to fruition. And so Creative Continents is kind of my bid to try to make that happen, where you could make movies in it. And it's just like it's the ultimate studio producer, right? Because I can control the sun, I can control the weather, I can control the ocean, I can control the characters, I can take one scene one time and then record it from multiple different angles and go back and change it. And so I'm really working towards a future tool that will allow anybody to create movies like Star Wars and Lord of the Rings in their house.
So
with the friends.
That's so freaking cool. And
That's
the first
a
thing,
wild progression.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and it's called Creative Continents. The first thing I want to ask: can you put more than one sun in your world? Because I have an idea.
It is capable. It's not in the version that's out right now. Now,
okay.
Understand it. So, from a technical point of view, if you're a gamer, we're currently on Unreal 5.03. We are actually doing an engine jump, which is pretty unheard of. Like, I don't even know of AAA studios that have done this, but we released the game fully in December, and we're jumping to Unreal 5.3.2 probably today or tomorrow.
Oh, boy.
On release. So, because the ocean came out and the ocean was way better, and we have an AI in the studio that was like, we need to rebuild the game so that we can have this new ocean. It was like, yeah, we're planning on doing that by May, but the AI is a lot quicker than I am, so it's kind of pushed the schedule up. But anyway, yeah. So yeah, we're gonna release that in the next day or two. It's really cool because this game is built modular, so the game itself will evolve with engine versions and things like that, and then mods can come in and change all the different aspects. So I have like worlds that look like Tron, and you'd be able to recreate. We've got people that have recreated Helm's Deep and more Mines of Moria from Lord of the Rings, and the options will eventually be entirely open.
That is such a badass idea.
Yeah, especially the part of just like you could film a movie inside of the game, like while playing the game. I don't know if any studio has ever even thought of that, because like we have motion capture, but that's usually using a physical space and a physical actor. And obviously we have CGI, we have Pixar and Illuminations and all that, but I don't think anyone has ever made a movie by playing a game.
But if you look at the way that the technology is evolving, so we're looking at future revisions. We're able to plug in things like left and right? Like we're getting ready to add skateboarding to the game just because. And like that'll be like the next thing. And then we're going to put in a whole cars pack that's all customizable, and motorcycles, and it's just going to keep going basically indefinitely. And it really is a game that will just evolve to how people want to play it. But we've got this new technology we've been working with recently that allows your computer webcam to look at you, and it does full body motion capture and uses an AI to then refine that really rough into an actual thing. So in our game, eventually you'll be able to get in there and do TikTok dances with your friend.
Oh boy.
So it's kind of ridiculous.
Hopefully
how
people
far
use
we're
it for
going.
better
But
things
literally,
than that. But
your phone,
porn.
your iPhone can watch. And like I say, some of these pieces of technology aren't quite like they're in the game and they're just not exposed to the user side yet. So like this, there's something called Live Link that your iPhone can sit there and look at your face, and the character in the game will then have some limited, facial motion, and your mouth will move correctly.
That's nuts.
So it's pretty cool that way, and that's getting better and better and better. And so at a certain point, your friends will be able to just perform and act. And then once they get that performance down right, then it's just applied to that scene, and that scene can be replayed 1 billion times, and you can take camera angles from any camera angle you want, all in 8K. All of that's just completely doable inside the Unreal Engine. I don't want to give the impression like I'm doing anything, but Unreal is really where the power lies.
You're doing more than we are, so
Yeah, that's amazing.
But anyway, let's roll back 20 years. Star
Let's
Wars,
do it.
Jedi
So-
Talk.
Yeah.
In case people are new,
Dark Side or Light, join us Sunday night.
there you go.
I
I
haven't
love
heard
it.
that in a
I
while.
love it. I love it.
that's a good one.
So, for people who are new that are listening to this episode for the first time, how did you start, and when did you start Jedi Talk?
In 1999.
Damn. Was it gearing up for the Phantom Menace, or was it after?
Yeah. It was after what?
Was it gearing up towards the Phantom Menace, or was it after it came
Yes.
out? Okay.
Yes. No. It was because Phantom Menace was coming. I thought I saw a market. So the February before Phantom Menace premiered, we premiered.
That's awesome. I love that. That's how Jedi. This version of Jedi Talk came to be too. Was leading up to the Force Awakens.
Yeah, it's the
it's
same
like
idea.
poetry. It rhymes.
Yeah.
It's you know what? It was because it was just I grew up with my father, who was very into talk radio when we came to America. We were originally from the Netherlands, and my dad was really into talk radio, and so I learned to listen to these talk hosts and even met a lot of them, and so I've always had a kind of passion for talk radio. And it was my passion for talk radio that was kind of, I wanted to, and I came to my father and said, I want a Star Wars talk show. And I was thinking terrestrial, right? I was thinking an antenna show. And he basically said, well, I don't think there's a large enough market share, but he did check with a couple of the host friends that we had. And they said, yeah, there's just not enough share in Utah to say have a talk show all about Star Wars. And so then I went to the internet and said, well, everybody's on the internet. And I had been working as an IT guy on the internet. And so I, at that point I was like, well, what if we could broadcast a radio show over the internet? And at the time, nobody was doing that. I mean,
Dude,
like,
you invented
nobody.
podcasting.
And so,
In
yeah,
1999.
we were one of the first ones really out of the gate. And as far as we were definitely the first Star Wars talk show, but we were one of the very first talk shows on the internet.
That's
Very first Star Wars podcast and talk show.
It's
the host
crazy.
right here.
It's insane, man.
We weren't
Pioneer.
even a podcast, right? Like podcasts didn't exist.
It
That's
wasn't
true.
a thing.
You were a podcast
You were a
without being a
pre-cast.
Podcast.
podcast because
You were
it didn't
pre-
exist yet.
You were
Yeah,
a precast.
we called ourselves an online talk show, and we literally had to explain that you listen to it. And people would be like, well, what is it? Is it a text chat? And it's like, no, you listen to the show.
It's like the radio,
and you can
but the
call
internet.
in and you can talk like a talk radio show. But we had to explain that you listen to it through your computer.
That's so
But the minute
funny.
they got it, it blew up. I mean, we broadcast live from Star Wars Celebration 2 in
Very good.
Indianapolis.
Number 2.
Dang.
Look at that. They blew
Yeah,
ours
that
out
was
of the
in
water.
Indianapolis, right? I was really drunk on that trip, to be honest with you.
Yeah,
And
my
my
God.
claim
You have to be.
fame is
You're an
that
Indian-
me
Indy,
and
so.
Chewbacca, Peter Mayhew, and Admiral Mahdi had a beer together.
Dang. That's you could die happy right there. Like
Yeah,
I'd be
right.
that's
Legend,
it.
sir.
That's so cool, man.
Legends indeed.
And
Legends.
I talked to Ralph McGuire on that trip.
That's
but
probably the
still,
coolest thing that's ever happened in Indiana. So you did it.
That's awesome, man. That is such a cool story.
What was like your on the original Jedi Talk? What was like your most popular episode? What was like one that really drove people to listen to you?
Oh man, I think that we were lucky because we had the expanded universe, and Del Rey was like, oh, they kind of discounted us as like being nothing at the time, and I happened to get the author list and got all the emails for like Kevin Anderson and so R.A. Salvatore, super good buddy, Mike Stackpole, but every author in the Star Wars universe had a Star Wars or had a Jedi Talk episode.
So cool.
So there was a couple really standout episodes in my book. The one that really got people talking was we had an episode about the Force, and we really we got into a real deep discussion about the Force and what it could be, and people really added some really like open, heartfelt things during that show, and it kind of went viral. That's what back then was viral, right? Like we were considered a very popular show when we went off the air, and we had like 150,000 people listening a week, which, I mean, it was at today's numbers, that's not even very big, right? So, but it's still at that time, it was this big pop, but it was because here was this Star Wars talk show and nobody had anything that specialized, and so we did start to grab all the crazy fans, and of course only the craziest called in to give their opinion. So it was always a lively discussion.
Yep, that's our comment section.
exactly, and that's
any Star Wars comment.
Of
course.
One of my personal favorite show that Jedi Talk did. My personal favorite. There was one where I was out of town. I was in North Carolina setting up a adult website for somebody, and and we at the time had a
pretty on brand.
We had a audio drama called Stormtrooper Bob about a redneck stormtrooper with his misfit group that went through the first three movies basically, right, and basically caused the Death Star to blow up twice, and everything that happens in Star Wars we justified with Stormtrooper Bob.
I think Stormtrooper Bob is like
drama.
Gary's grandfather.
The guys who acted out all the characters came into the studio and acted like Stormtrooper Bob and his squad had taken over the studio. And because I was out of state, there was nothing I could do about the interaction. They were hanging up on collars left and right. It was the funniest show ever. I mean, I was on the floor. Me and my buddy, who had basically helped me construct the system that ran Jedi Talk, were just on the floor in Myrtle Beach, North Carolina, laughing our asses off at these three guys taking over the show and just being ridiculous stormtrooper characters. Like, we had all the stereotypes. We had a fat stormtrooper. We had a gay stormtrooper. Really, really bad 90s humor. Really bad.
What was the name of the fat stormtrooper? Yeah. I can assure you the same lowbrow humor, Lucien, has continued to the current Jedi Talk, and lots would agree with you. Do you remember the name of the fat stormtrooper?
And you know what? In my video game career, because my second game is called Balls.
Do you get to create balls from scratch?
Do you get to scratch balls?
Yes, in both. That's how you win the game.
That's why I was there. Yep.
We're very proud to be not only a Steam game, but also a endless source of fourth grade humor.
That's
yes. Well, Lucien, how do people find Creative Continents?
It's on Steam.
It's on Steam. There you go. Well, we can't thank you enough for sharing that and going back and talking about Stormtrooper Bob and the original Jedi Talk and just what you're up to now. And we want to make this a yearly thing until Jedi Talk hands off the torch to another Jedi Talk. If you're up for that.
2025.
I'm always willing to come back, take a trip back through time. This is always a lot of fun.
Last time I love having you on,
to talk about all the cease and desists we got.
Yeah, I think we mentioned that last time a little bit. Yeah,
I just giggle.
That's funny. I love that.
We just pulled off so much Wild West stuff back then. It was such a different world.
From the humor to the cease and desists, there's so many connections throughout
there are.
Jedi Talk history.
A lot of connections.
We're not, or we are carrying on that legacy.
We have a nice
the same
email from
stuff.
Disney.
Yes.
Yeah. We got lots.
How did that ever work out for you guys?
Well, we
Last
just-
time
we-
I was talking with you.
we released it
Oh wait, you pulled
unofficially.
that episode down. You caved.
Yeah. Well, at the time, Evan was an employee, so we didn't want anyone to get in trouble.
Dude,
For my
No,
sake
no,
and
no,
for
no,
the gentleman that was on the show sake, too. We had to protect him.
I caved more than I ever stood up against it. And I moved around it once in a while, and I thought I was real slick. But ooh, I look back on it now, and man, if I would have taken one more step in the right direction, I would have been hurting. I would have been hurting bad. There was times where my neck was on the line where it shouldn't have been.
Yeah, corporations suck, dude.
Yeah, they'll
But
just find any reason to get rid of you. So
we ended up just releasing it, calling it the Sammy file, and it is, if you scan any of the Jedi Talk stickers that you may or may not receive at an upcoming event.
Well, the event already happened. So anybody who received it at MegaCon 2024, scan it.
Well, there's another
and
upcoming event
the Sammy
too.
file.
There's,
True.
There's plenty upcoming events.
March
Plenty of
1st,
upcoming
yeah.
events. So
Yeah, but we're talking about the Sammy file on our QR code. So yeah. So Lucien, basically, if people want it, they can get it by scanning our QR code or just going to the
want it,
link
you
in our
can get
bio on Instagram.
Don't tell them that. It has to be special. You got to scan the QR code.
Or go
Use
to
it
the
our
link in the
Instagram.
Instagram.
Or go to the link.
It's the link amok.
The only reason it's there is because the Star Cruiser closed. So
Yep.
that's why we made that decision.
So
And screw them.
screw you, Disney, you bastards. All right, man. Well, thank you so much for coming on. We really appreciate it, and we will see you next year, dude. And maybe even before that, I'd like to have you back on. I would love to just do like a long episode where we just go through crazy stories for
Call it the cease and desist show.
the
That's just all it is.
I've never told you guys the Ray Park story. I've never told you guys the RA story, probably the Vector Prime story. There's some good ones.
Okay,
No,
well,
these are teases for the
Yes.
future. I like
Heck
this.
yeah.
absolutely. We will have you back on.
Always
soon.
keep them wanting more.
I was a
coordinate.
host for 4 years, guys. I know what I'm doing.
Beautiful.
Yes, you do.
As always. Well, happy Star Wars Podcast Day. We'll talk to Lucien again soon.
By the right of the council, by the will of the Force. Hello, everybody. How the hell's your MegaCon going? Come on! Yeah! That's what I'm talking about. We are Jedi Talk, and welcome to the beauty of Batu, the hidden details and secrets of Galaxy's Edge. I am one of the co-hosts of Jedi Talk, Tom Oakrey, and joining me as always here on the regular council today is to my left. Had to pull him away from the Lego room next door to us, Evan T. Boucher. Evan, how the heck are you today?
Adiga and good journey, everybody. That's right. I almost stayed over in the Lego room, but, I had business to do for once in my life. So I came over here.
And to his left, our other co-host here on the council this fine afternoon. He almost didn't make it because he turned Cool Runnings on Disney Plus before showing up here. Brad Hughes. Brad, how the heck are you today?
What's up, man? I'm good. MegaCon? Wrong Star Wars. Wrong Star franchise. Wrong sci-fi.
Yeah, cool.
But yeah, I'm doing good. It's been a good time. I've seen a lot of really cool cosplay. You guys are crushing it.
You're looking great out there.
I'm jealous. I am not talented like that at all. So I'm very jealous of
That's right,
anyone who
he's
can
not.
pull off cosplay. He knows. Yeah, I'm excited. It's going to be a good time.
Let's do it.
Let's do it. So let's go ahead and jump on into this. So this panel is called The Beauty of Batu, the hidden details and secrets of Galaxy's Edge. I'm assuming everyone in this room has at least heard of Galaxy's Edge, but has everyone been to Galaxy's Edge?
There we go. That's all we like to see. That's all we like to see.
I got another question for you. Who has been on the Halcyon? All right.
Guilty as charged.
Who didn't raise their hands, make sure you stay till the end. We got some cool stuff to talk about the Halcyon, so we're going to get into that too. But this is the beauty of Batu. So this panel came to me a few years ago when I was doing Star Wars Celebration, and I wanted to talk about this because it was kind of new at the time still. And I was in Anaheim, and the reason that what inspired this was I wanted to kind of put into words the moment I felt when they finally announced Galaxy's Edge. I was so excited. It was like the worst kept secret in all of Disney. Everyone knew it was coming, but no one knew what it was going to be. And I think what it turned out to be was way different than what any of us expected it to be. They could have gone down this road of like, we're just going to make the Mos Eisley Cantina, we're going to do something else, but they decided to build a brand new world and immerse us all into this brand new world of Batu. And I think they did a great job. And of course, they had to like kind of lovingly shoehorn this into canon. And so that first thing we're going to talk about from Galaxy's Edge are the first mentions of canon. The very first time we saw Galaxy's Edge Batu in canon was from the amazing novel Thrawn Alliances by Timothy Zahn. And this Easter egg was so cool because they were able to replicate the blaster marks inside of Oga's Cantina. I think, Evan, it is the second booth when you walk in.
Oh, yeah. Yep. Everyone here probably knows that pretty well, especially us three. We go to Oga's quite a lot.
Don't say we.
Who's read this? Who's read this book?
Okay, yeah, that's what.
It's a great
If you
book.
haven't,
He is a
check it out.
fantastic author.
One of the best.
One of the best Star Wars books. And again, this is the first introduction of anything Batu into Star Wars canon. By the way, we also want to say this. This is by no means a completely comprehensive list of everything and every single Easter egg. These are just kind of our favorites and stuff that we wanted to share with you guys.
They only give us 45 minutes.
Yeah.
Not 45 days.
No joke, this panel used to be an hour. We had to cut some stuff out. So
Got a minute and a half.
You got a minute and a half.
a minute and a half.
Muppet
Let's
Vision.
move on to the next panel here. Who has read the Galaxy's Edge comics? They are so cool.
There we go.
They are so
I knew I liked you.
There are a ton of references in these comic books, obviously, but my favorite was the one where they introduced Ronto wraps before the park opened, and they made them like dirty, gross street food. I thought it was like such a cool thing.
You're making
Something
me
that's
hungry.
so good, right?
Stop.
Something that's so good. They like made like nobody wants it. It's cheap crap food. No one wants it, and they're still $14, of course. But
They're not cheap, but they are good.
there's plenty of stuff. I urge anyone to either, if you have read them, go back and read these. They're fantastic. If you haven't read them, seek them out. They are fantastic comics, and they'll just dive you deep into Galaxy's Edge. Another one of the references from this is this is interesting. I don't know how many people actually who haven't read the comics know this, but Doc Sarlacc inside of the Den of Antiquities was given to Doc Ondar by Han Solo and Chewbacca. Does anyone know the name of the Sarlacc?
Ooh.
No?
Didn't know we were going to stump everybody
Ooh.
that quick.
You can now flex with your friends. His name is Simpy.
Yep.
His name
Isn't
is
that
Simpy.
adorable?
It's cute.
And I don't know if you guys didn't know that, you might not know about the Ghostbusters reference on this container. Does anyone know about the Ghostbuster? Who's a Ghostbusters fan in here?
Yo, yeah.
We're in the
There we
right
go.
place for sure. So if you look on this container inside of Doc Ondar's at Galaxy's Edge, and I think it's at Disneyland as well. I don't think it's just at Disney World. I think it's at Disneyland too. If you look on the red container on the side of it, you will see like some markings. Did I put it in there? No, I didn't. There's some markings on the side, and it's actually the symbols on the proton pack wand are on the canister of this. So if next time
So
you're there, if
cool.
you're a Ghostbusters fan, go check it out. It's
So
pretty
cool. Why? We'll never know.
We'll never know.
We'll never know. Let's move on to this one. So this is a book called Crash of Fate by Zoraida Cordova. We actually got to interview her on the podcast. She was amazing. This book is awesome. It's kind of a love story. So there's not really, like, it's not as Star Wars-y as you kind of think in your head, like what a Star Wars novel would be. It's a little different. But the thing they did really good with this, or what she did really well with this novel, is expanding Batu as a planet and not just the one thing you focus on when you're at Galaxy's Edge, Black Spire Outpost. There are 3 cities that are referenced in this book. One of them is Pika, the other is Galma, and the last is Sarabat Valley. And this was my favorite part of this book. I literally freaked out when I heard this.
I remember the call.
I probably did call
And
you.
the texts.
There is illegal pod racing that takes place on Galma, and I am, she knows.
We won't mention it anymore.
I'm a big pod racing fan. I was 10 when episode 1 came out, so anything pod racing, I'm there for, and this made me so excited.
Go Pika.
Pika.
Not Galma.
No? You're not a Galma fan? Pika?
They also have the cast members in Galaxy's Edge pick which village they live in. So former cast members like myself got to pick Pika because that's better than Galma. But we won't talk about Galma. Sorry.
We won't talk about Galma. The next one, sorry for that joke. The next one this is probably my favorite Galaxy's Edge book. Not my favorite Star Wars book necessarily, but my favorite Galaxy's Edge book. Because this is like, if your day on Batu is the movie, this is the prequel. Like, if you don't read this and you go to Galaxy's Edge, you are doing yourself a disservice. You need to read this book. It is absolutely fantastic.
We stand by Marathi on this podcast.
Yeah, we do,
Oh, yeah.
for sure. They even go so far as to give you a backstory for the Q of Rise of the Resistance. Like, they do so much legwork with, like, the lore of Batu. Seriously, of all of the books, if you're going to Galaxy's Edge, this is the one you should read for sure. They also do and I'm saying spoiler free intentionally. They also expand on the Savis and Sons junkyard, which is where you get your scrap metal for your lightsabers. So they do a really cool expansion upon that. And also,
If you're having trouble talking to Vi too when you go to Galaxy's Edge, read this book.
Yes,
then
absolutely.
it gives you countless things to talk about with Vi Marathi. So that's a great character introduction if you want to build your role-playing aspects.
absolutely. Also, there is, as you can see in this picture, there is a crack in the bridge at Oga's. No, that is not an Imagineering mistake, and they didn't have it in the budget to go fix it. That is actually like a blaster shot from Oga shooting her Wookiee boyfriend. And
His name was Duran,
Rest in
so
peace.
R.I.P.
rest in peace to Durant.
And that's why you don't want to bring up Wookiees around Olga.
We don't talk about wood.
Yeah, he
Again?
cheated on her.
Sorry.
so-
That's story 2, man.
Sorry.
They're not even good jokes.
I'm sorry, man. I'm sorry. Let's get on to this next one here. This is another person we've had on the podcast before we got to interview Kevin Shinnick. I was really, really obsessed with this book when it came out. Cool side story here. When he came on the podcast, he was talking about, we asked him about his writing process and how he went through writing the book. And he was like, funny story. So actually my first draft of this book got rejected by Lucasfilm. And we're like, why did it get rejected? And he was like, well, they kind of inadvertently told me that I accidentally wrote episode 9 without knowing it. So he had to go back and literally start from scratch and kind of, they still had the main character, I believe. But it was a really cool side story. So this one doesn't have as much to do with Batu. It's just that Carr is an amazing character. Go read this book for sure. But there is one really cool thing that happens with Batu. He ends up going on a mission for Maz Kanata to bring back C-3PO's gold arm. Remember the red arm from The Force Awakens? It was like in my top 3 things that I had to know about The
We're
Force
all like,
Awakens.
where'd it go? What the heck?
That was in this book, so go check that out if you're interested.
He goes to get it from a certain character on Batu as well.
He does. Certain character possibly that owns a den of antiquities.
We'll
He's
never
not
know.
an origami bird yet.
Fly away.
And this is my last slide here for the book references. This is The Traveler's Guide to Batu. I feel like not a lot of people have read this book. It kind of flies under the radar. Who has read this book? Perfect.
Yeah.
The same people that I thought would read the book have read the book. This is a great book because this is written as a in-universe travel guide. And so, as you can see, it's written by Eloch Thorno, the real writer being Cole Horton. It's just such a cool book, and they expand Batu in a numerous amount of ways in this book. But my 3 favorite were they added actual holidays to celebrate on Black Spire Outpost. The first one is May the 4th, which is Black Spire Day. Then there's Life Day, yes, from that holiday special, on 11/17, and then Batu Harvest Day on October 31st. So a few of those they haven't done anything with Harvest Day yet,
Not yet.
which they should. But
5 years coming up?
5
Yeah,
years,
it's
maybe.
been- it's been
maybe.
5 years,
So if
so-
you haven't read that book, check it out. It's crazy.
I know.
I can't believe it.
That's how long I've known this guy, 5 years.
It's too long.
Because of
Sorry.
Batu.
It's too long. It's entirely too long.
Yeah, 6 years too long.
But yeah, if you haven't read that book, check it out. It's pretty interesting.
All right, now we have references of Galaxy's Edge and Batu in the beloved film. So before we move forward, I have questions to ask. I'm going to roll through all 9 episodes and the 2 break-off stories, and I want to know if it's your favorite, raise your hand. So The Phantom Menace, is that your favorite movie? There we go, we got one.
Hey,
All right.
nice.
I'm a little scared to ask this one, but whose favorite is the Attack of the Clones?
That is
That's
the
what I-
appropriate-
Oh, there we go.
Hey, wait
Two.
a second.
That's
I
my
don't,
son. No, it's not.
I don't know
You're
about
lying.
that. We know you.
Whose favorite is Revenge of the Sith? Yeah,
Hey,
it's the
nice.
top 4 for me. That's a good one. All right, how about Solo?
Hey,
Solo,
okay,
Solo
there we
get
go.
more love. I love it.
Make Solo 2 happen.
Make Solo
Make
2
Solo 2
happen.
happen.
Of course, my Chromebook shuts off. So, Rogue One. Yeah, there's a lot of people. Beautiful. A New Hope. Okay, yeah. Now, I'm thinking I'm going to know where the hands are going to go when I say The Empire Strikes Back.
There we go.
There it is.
That's actually less than I thought.
Return of the Jedi.
That's my favorite. Let's go.
Okay. Now, this panel is about Galaxy's Edge, which is in the sequel, so this is a PG panel here. So, The Force Awakens.
Nice.
Okay, there we go.
Absolutely, yeah.
Now, I'm about to walk right into this one. This one's my favorite, The Last Jedi.
Me too.
There we
Yeah,
go.
Last Jedi.
It's a very close second for me. I thought we could.
Which is still canon, by the way.
Yes, it is.
As of the recording
As of
of this show.
2:57 Eastern Standard Time.
Yes.
Today, February 2nd, The Last Jedi is still canon. Thank
Yes,
you very much.
thank you.
Finally, Rise of Skywalker.
Hey, okay.
All right, we got one.
I like it too. I don't hate
All
it.
right.
We saw a couple noddings of disapproval.
I
Hey,
don't
judge.
hate it. Is not like a great vote.
No, yeah.
No, no.
It's not horrible.
That's why we're going
It's
to move it
not.
along, Brad. Get to those solo references for me. Right there. We have, these were our first. These were our first references in the movie universe for Batu and Galaxy's Edge. And before I get into those references, Brad has a fun story from the movies that I wanted to tell before I get into those.
So we went to one of the Galactic Nights a few years ago at Hollywood Studios, and they did like a big panel. I think they presented like 3 times a night that night, and it was like a full-on like reveal of Batu. They gave us the name of Doc Ondar. They gave us the name of Black Spire Outpost. So the next day, we go back to rewatch Solo again in theaters, and I catch these 2 references, and my mind is blown. I'm like, how did they plan it this far in advance? It's so cool.
The intricate details. So yeah, head to that next slide. So there's specific mentions from Kira on Dryden Voss's ship, which first runs into Han. Just simply asks a tender there, have you been attentive to Doc Ondar? That infamous Doc Ondar, where I got all my lightsabers that are burning lots of money on my wall at home. And then L3, as walking with Lando, going to the Falcon, it was in the impound lot. She just simply says, you can make it from here to Black Spire without me. Yelling at him. It's just like giving him the business. So he deserved it.
I'll never forget that moment in theaters. Like, that was such a cool, cool moment.
So the Force Priestess statue that's been seen in Attack of the Clones, Revenge of the Sith, and in the Clone Wars is right outside Doc Ondar's. Blink and you'll miss it. This is one of my favorite things in Galaxy's Edge because as a big fan of the movies and Revenge of the Sith being in one of my top, it's fantastic. Speaking of Docs from Revenge of the Sith, Palpatine's office mural, broken up as soon as you walk right in. Blink and you will miss that. Can anyone tell me what's this depicting?
It's a giant fight between the Sith and the Jedi. It's an ancient fight.
Do you know what it's called? The Great Hyperspace War. That's what this mural is depicting, but that's exactly what it is.
I didn't even notice this until like 2 years after it opened. I was like, wait, I've seen this before somewhere. I got home, watched the movie. I was like, yeah, that's been in front of my face for 2-3 years.
It's right when you walk in. You're
right there, right? Crazy.
Very observant.
Yes, I am. Very.
Everybody knows the X-34 land speeder sitting there in Saljut's garage, where you see Rey and Vi quite often. Chewie's over there, and then you see some First Order troopers peering over the top. This is actually Saljut's garage, and Saljut owns that X-34 land speeder. It's not Luke's, as a lot of people I think have thought. And speaking of the Halcyon, there is a commercial loop that plays in that garage for the Halcyon.
It's in the like radio music loop.
All right.
It still plays to this day too, so
awesome.
It's still there.
Still there. They haven't taken it out yet.
No.
Yeah, don't give them
Don't
ideas.
tell them.
Please
Don't
don't
take
give
it
them
out.
ideas.
Don't give any ideas.
They take away ribbons. They'll take away anything.
All right, so you've been to Galaxy's Edge, but who has ridden Riders of the Resistance?
The greatest attraction ever made.
Yes. Whose favorite attraction ever is Rise of the Resistance? That's what I thought.
Nice.
All right.
Haunted Mansion still squeaks it out for me. Just
Yeah,
by
it's
a
still
little.
my top
by
three.
a little bit.
Pirates,
I
Mansion,
love
Rise.
Mansion.
That's it for me.
It was always Primeval World for me.
Primeval World. I'm so glad
I do miss
that's
it
gone.
too. I do. Yes.
All right, so back to business, Brad. Okay, the Flex Poly Bacta suit Finn wears in The Last Jedi, which is still canon. You walk through it at the end of the Rise of the Resistance queue. And every time, I want to start this now, so if you haven't done this already, every time you run into this Bacta suit, you just got to simply sit back and scream, Ray! So really loud.
Do it for Finn. Do it for Finn.
Yeah, do it for Finn.
It's like you're watching the movie all over again.
Yeah, it is.
Right.
Oh, these trash cans. This is cool. So Disney loves its details, and Blink, you'll miss this one. This spectacular trash compactor number of 3263827. Does anyone know what that's from? New Hope.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There we go. Luke, Han, Leia, and Chewie were stuck on the Death Star, and that says on Airbus trash dissector 3263827. So small details. How cool is that?
Most people don't even see that. Did anyone in this room know that reference? Sweet.
Okay.
Couple.
Of course
Nice.
you
Very
did.
good.
I'm your dad. Of course you did.
He could be lying.
He probably is.
Speaking of trash compactors, the Dianoga over the water fountain through the marketplace right next to those restrooms. When it works, it's great. Sometimes he's really sleeping down there. But the water is, after the first 2 months, it gets a little gamey, and then you just get used to it.
He's a little shy though. That's why he doesn't always come out like that.
Does anyone know the Dianoga's name? I don't either. I just was curious.
Oh, you don't? I do.
Oh, you do?
I do know the name.
Oh.
Close, because his name is Tiny, so it's perfect for Kyle.
Next slide.
I'm sorry.
Okay, this is my favorite thing out of all of Galaxy's Edge.
This was the first Easter egg I saw at
Yeah.
Galaxy's Edge when they were building it.
So
Yeah.
you see 77 and 83. What does that mean to you guys?
Those are years.
Exactly.
There
New
we
Hope
go.
and Return of the
Yes.
Jedi.
Yes.
Anyone know how you see Empire Strikes Back?
It's on the inside.
Inside of Docking Bay 7. How cool is that? Makes me feel like I'm playing Tomb Raider or Fallen Order, like I'm going through to find like this puzzle before I have to move an orb again with the Force for 20 minutes.
Ugh.
So
I like these puzzles.
you're just bad at Fallen Order.
I know. I'm very bad.
Brad, calm down over there with the pod racing engine that cooks the Ronto meat. A pod racing engine cooks your Ronto meat. I mean, how cool is that? Just if you're a fan of the prequels, or just a fan of Star Wars in general, that's how you're getting that greasy trash food. Is that how you
I'm
call
a
it?
fan of Rontos. Does that count?
Close.
Okay.
Speaking of Rontos, in the special editions, they actually added that creature that you see up there, and that's the Ronto.
The only thing I wish they would have done is I wish they would have made that pod racing engine be like from like Ben Quadraneros or pod racing.
Like a recognizable.
A recognizable pod racing engine. Because I remember in the concept art, it showed Anakin's pod racing engine, which now we know Cobb Vanth has. So
Right.
that makes sense why.
He has one of them though. Where's the
One
other
of them
one?
could be. That's my only complaint is I wish it was like a recognizable one.
But they gave
And
you
real
the
quick,
flags.
real quick, the droid turning the meat, the 80J8 droid from Jabba's palace in Return of the Jedi, and again, you see him in Book of Boba Fett. So that's reference to those.
Great little
This
ones.
is the only good special edition change, in my opinion.
No, this is better.
No, I'm kidding.
The Emperor looking not like a
Yeah.
whatever he
Burnt toast.
was supposed to be in,
Yeah.
in the original Empire. And we can't forget how good the edition of that song is, Return of the Jedi.
No.
Jedi Rocks? Any Jedi Rocks fans out there?
No.
Okay.
There
Depends
are,
on how much I've had to drink.
there are some stuff out.
All right, R2-D2, and then there's also C-3PO tracks. So these were actually made from the original R2 and C-3PO mold and put into the ground in Galaxy's Edge. I mean, it's like the closest I'll ever get to actually meeting them, right? Like the real ones. Although I met R2 several times out there on the floor today. So.
True.
You know that it's at Hollywood Studios too, right? In
Yes.
front of the Chinese theater.
Oh,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
I forgot about that.
Yeah.
Yeah. They're in front of the Chinese theater.
Thank
Nice.
you for that.
Disney does grounds very well. If you've
Yes.
never been in a Disney theme park and have noticed it, look at the ground. It's really cool. The best example for me is in Storybook Circus. If you're walking around Storybook Circus, you can like look around and see the people like drop peanuts and stuff on the ground. So look at the ground next time you're there. Good times.
And that's at the Magic Kingdom, right? Yep.
So there's Brad smiling.
There's my big dumb head.
I don't think hopefully he's wearing pants.
That was opening day at Galaxy's Edge at Disneyland.
Yeah.
Yep, opening day, Galaxy's Edge Disneyland. That's so cool. I mean, the Marksman H training remote and face shield, obviously, A New Hope, episode 4, and then it does make its appearance in episode 9 as well.
And in Ahsoka.
Yeah, Ahsoka indeed. Blink, well, no, not Blinking, you'll miss this, but that probe droid, particularly only in Disney's Hollywood Studios, trapped up there, is the probe droid that actually, and it's not a ship that caused the crater on Galaxy's Edge. Only in Disney's Hollywood Studios, it's this probe droid. So if you see that crater only in Hollywood Studios, it was created by this probe droid. I think Evan was saying it when he was a former cast member. You heard a lot of people talking about his ship.
Yes, most people think that it is our boy DJ Rex, formerly Captain Rex, who crash landed. But this is in the entrance near Toy Story Land at Hollywood Studios. People always thought DJ Rex made that crash landing, but it was this probe droid who made that crash landing. So if you hear some misinformation out there, now you know you can tell them the probe droid made the crash.
Also, if you download the Disney Play app and you do some hacking, you can hack into this droid and he like lights up and yells at you. It's good times.
Yeah.
The Gonk droid tracks. I love it because Gonk droids are so cool. This is one of my favorite droids. There we go, Gonk droid.
Hey, nice.
Stand for Gonk droids. Next slide, please. Oh, all right. Strono Cookie Tugs. Barely in A Force Awakens.
This is a blink and you miss it.
Yeah, this
We keep
literally
saying
is
it.
Blink.
You can tell how far in the background he is by how blurry that image is.
Yeah.
And Cookie is the cook at Docking Bay 7 on Galaxy's Edge. Used to work for Maz Kanata. And I think, Evan, you heard there should have been something on Galaxy's Edge?
Yes,
As a
another
cast
former cast member
Former.
fact that we have learned is
Sadly,
sadly.
no one from Disney is here, right? Okay, good.
They're always listening to us.
Who cares?
Anyone that has any authority, like big time? No?
Who cares?
Oh, we're going. Don't tell anyone we said this.
But as much as we love Galaxy's Edge, it does kind of stink that this detracts from it a little bit because they were planning to build a Cookie animatronic inside of Docking Bay 7. So it's still awesome. We still love Galaxy's Edge, but it stinks that Cookie isn't physically there.
Right.
That would have been so cool.
Red, hold off. Oh, okay. Well, I was going to say spoiler alert.
Spoiler alert!
You didn't see
Spoiler
that.
alert, if
Blink
you
and
haven't
you miss
played Batu Bounty Hunters, but this is the final bounty that you get to the guild, and it's DJ from The Last Jedi.
Bounty
Welcome
number
to the
20.
guild, you found DJ.
Yeah, that was so cool.
This is a fun game.
That
Has
is
anyone played Batu Bounty Hunters?
But we have some bounty hunters. Okay,
Okay.
nice.
Who's in the guild?
Okay,
Oh,
so you got
there we
DJ.
go.
You caught him.
Yep.
Nice.
Sorry for everybody else that we spoiled.
Hey, live free, don't join.
But,
You know.
but this has been out for almost, I mean, this is an interactive game that you play on Batu with the Magic Band Plus.
It's a ton of fun.
It is a ton of
It's
fun. You
addicting.
get your steps in for the day, exercising. There's certain areas around the park that you can get to explore that you might not normally go take a look at. And it feels like you're actually looking for these, and that really pairs up well with the Disney Play app.
We didn't include a picture, but another bounty you can catch. This is a really nerdy spoiler, so if you don't want to know, raise your hand and I won't say it. But a bounty you can catch is someone named Edmo Actigley, but that name doesn't matter. He stole the Ark of the Covenant from Dok-Ondar. So in Disneyland, they have an Ark of the Covenant up in Dok-Ondar's shelves, but here in Hollywood Studios, it's not present.
Because he stole it.
Because this guy stole it. So if you scan the door and find this character, it'll read that he stole the Ark of the Covenant from Dok-Ondar.
If that's not a retcon, I don't know what is.
Right. That was my favorite. I loved the DJ thing, but finding that blew my mind. That was my favorite part.
All right, talk about booze. Take it over.
Well, booze, but from one DJ to another DJ. We have Olga's Cantina and my good friend DJ Rex. So most of you, who here has ridden the original Star Tours attraction at Disneyland, at Hollywood Studios? Nice, a lot of people. The original tour to Endor, we had an amazing pilot who, it was probably his first time on the job, so I'll cut him some slack, but he was a little rough, but we still love him. But his new job now is in Olga's Cantina as the DJ. So Mubo has kind of found him and repaired him a little bit. Mubo runs the Droid Depot, for those who might not be familiar with him. And now he's helping pay off some debt for Mubo with Olga, and he's playing the sickest beats from across the galaxy. He's sick with it, you might say.
He is sick with it.
Yeah, he's the bee's knees, you might say.
And a moment of silence for Paul Rubens, who voices DJ Rex. Thank you very much.
For sure. But
That one hurt.
Also one from the Star Tours ride.
yeah,
Mhm.
yeah. This isn't one that is like remade.
Sure was.
This is literally from the attraction at Hollywood Studios. So seeing him every time just kind of takes you back to your childhood when you would ride that attraction. So of course, there's other details in Olga's Cantina featuring these warts here you can find behind the bar. Now, as the slide showed, you can see the very attractive fellow sitting there in Tatooine by Jabba's castle or Jabba's palace there. So he has been, not that exact one, but one of that species has been brought in to help provide some little boba eggs to many of the drinks you might find in Olga's.
That's gross.
So don't think about it when you drink it. It's called drinking, not thinking.
Extra protein.
Yeah, there you go, extra protein. There are plenty of other details behind the bar as well. If you look at all of the little handles for the beer taps, you got the IG heads, which are like repurposed plane parts.
Yeah.
From not just any planes,
I think
but
it's a
from
Rolls Royce. if I remember
fancy
correctly.
planes,
Yeah.
Rolls Royce. So they got some fancy IG parts there. You can see a very memorable lightsaber that you probably can recall. Then you'll see maybe a cane that looks like Yoda's cane. Lots of little details, an X-Wing flight stick there for the beer taps. It's just, they really went all out when these could have just been simple metal handles. You know, they didn't have to, but when you see it like this, it just really sells the fact that it's an in-universe beer tap made of whatever the heck they could find lying around. There's plenty of other details that were also left out. We don't want to make us think it stinks, because we all love Galaxy's Edge. But there was also planned to be an Olga animatronic above the bar in Olga's. The audio
Don't
still...
tell Disney we told you this.
Yeah, or do, who cares? But the audio still plays, which we've discovered quite a few times when I turned on a lightsaber in Olga's. So she
I asked
will...
for a discount.
Yeah. She will yell at you if you turn on your lightsaber in the bar. So that still happens, but Olga herself isn't physically present, at least that we can see.
Yeah.
So she was going to be, though.
And if you look at the bar, like at the front, if you're saying right where the two sides kind of meet in the middle, you can see this like rounded area where they were like for sure going to put the animatronic. Like it looks,
Yeah.
once you see it, you're like, that's exactly what that was supposed to be for.
Nice. And she is a Blutopian, which we do end up seeing one of those species in Rogue One at the very beginning. So some other details that they have are in the forms of merchandising. That's where the money from the movie's really made. Merchandising. The Yub-Nub mug is now in the second edition. You'll see there in that bottom picture. So the first edition is that top picture. And it's pretty clear to see that is a representation of the Battle of the Second Death Star on the moon of Endor. There's so many cool little details on those mugs, which in universe are supposed to be made from the wooden Wookiee, which is in the marketplace in Galaxy's Edge. It's a little wood carving stand run by a Wookiee. So it's kind of amazing Olga still does business with this Wookiee because of her past, but credits are credits, And they have upgraded. This is the only mug that they have yet to upgrade in Olga's after 5 years. So
That's true.
Yeah, you're right.
yeah. They also have the Rancor beer flight here with the Rancor teeth. This is another souvenir vessel you can buy. This one hasn't been updated, so you can still get this first edition while it's there. And they have some other drinks that are served in other souvenir cups as well. You have the Cliff Dweller mug, which is that cute little porg there, also from the wooden Wookiee. So you can still get that. That's still first edition. And we have the amazing drinks there. Fuzzy Tauntaun. Who's got a favorite drink there? Fuzzy Tauntaun? Favorites?
Favorite Fuzzy?
That's my favorite. Okay.
Whose
nice.
favorite is the Yub-Nub?
Go down
That's
the line.
mine.
Keep going,
There
Tom.
we
Yub-Nub. Nice. How about the Bespin? Anybody? Bespin. Nice. Like it. Carbon Freeze. Anybody?
go. Yeah, we got one. There we go.
Okay, nice. That's what we like to see. How about the Dagobah Slugslinger? Okay,
There we
yep,
go.
yep. It's a little, the
Like it.
substance is a little off for a lot of people, but I like it too. I'm with you. What's that?
My favorite's not even in the picture.
What's your favorite?
The jet juice.
I know. I was gonna get
yes.
there. That's why I saved it, because that was the first drink I ever had in Olga's Cantina.
Yeah, me
was the
too.
jet juice.
Opening day.
Why is it not in the picture then?
Because it's too small. We love it, but it's just one drink and it's gone. So moving on. Sadly.
Save it for the
Move on.
picture.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
I have a funny story about the Fuzzy Tauntaun.
Okay.
I took my mom to Oga's. She knew nothing about it, and she started drinking I told her, get the Fuzzy Tauntaun, you'll love it. And so she's drinking it, and she starts telling me, my lips are tingling. I'm like, what? Why are you lips? Are you okay? And she's like, no. And she kept drinking. I just didn't say anything, kept a straight face. I tricked her into thinking she was having an allergic reaction to the drink, and she never forgave me for it. It was funny, but
The whole room was turning
she
on
was
you.
mad. She was mad.
That's why you ruined Mother's Day, Brad. We told you it was Mother's Day.
Happy Mother's Day.
Oh my goodness. And now,
Oh, no. You didn't tell me to put Gary in that picture.
Hey,
Gary.
I'm sorry. You guys have history.
Look at him on the Halcyon. He's a menace.
he's a menace.
You see that stormtrooper?
bad
Menace.
He did heckle Gary quite a bit on the Star Cruiser. So if you do come across Gary, give him a little bit of crap for Tom.
You'll see him.
You'll definitely see him.
He looks like that guy.
He's a little short for a stormtrooper. Doc Ondar is also a place to find many awesome references to the greater Star Wars canon. We don't have time for all of them, of course.
Yeah,
but
call it the elephant out in the room, though. The one that was staring at us in the face before.
that little Grogu chainmail shirt has been there since opening day in 2019.
We went back through and looked.
2019.
We found these pictures a few years ago, and I think at the time
That one is from allears.net,
Yeah.
but we have some
we
that
have
are
some
grainier
from
in our
us
phones
that are from
opening
day that include that, and no one even realized that it was there.
Yeah, they
So
planned that
crazy.
out so far in advance. Another thing from The Mandalorian Season 2. Now, this one is only in Hollywood Studios. This one is a screen-used X-Wing from Mandalorian Season 2.
Yep.
Carson Teva was in it, Trapper Wolf was in it for filming, so they used it just for those scenes in at least the Bill Burr episode, possibly a couple
Yeah.
others.
I also
But-
love the fact that it's at Hollywood Studios, which was a theme park based around movie making. It was such a cool choice to put it there instead of Disneyland that gets everything.
Yeah. Disneyland has the Ark of the Covenant, but we have a screen-used
Yeah.
X-Wing.
That's right.
Take that. And they have 45 characters that we don't have. Take that.
Does
Now-
anyone know this? Has anyone heard of this little secret? Okay.
Nice.
Okay,
okay.
yeah, I think it's
I-
starting to pop around.
I love showing people this. When I used to work in Edge, I would just hang out by the Falcon, and I would spend half my day just telling people that were trying to find it or helping, guide people there to find it. So if you don't know where it is, on the giant Millennium Falcon, one of only 2 complete Millennium Falcons on the planet. If you look at the cockpit, to the left there's those ridges that run along the side. Just follow those ridges down till you find that pipe. And there's a tiny Millennium Falcon that's the size of a phone maybe, parked on the bottom of the real Millennium Falcon. Now there are at least two hidden Mickeys in Galaxy's Edge. The one on the left, is on Rise of the Resistance towards the end. I'll just tell you that much. It's in the room where Kylo Ren sometimes makes an appearance. And then the one on
or the room where you see him out the window, depending on how.
Yes,
it is.
yeah.
Sometimes he's like it.
Yeah, and the one on the right, of course, is with the Hondo Onaka image, where he's telling you your mission is to go to Corellia. Now, of course, a little details about the Galactic Star Cruiser. We don't have enough time to talk about every detail, but who here has been on the Star Cruiser again? Yeah, Star Cruiser people are? The best people! Yeah, that's what we like to hear. That's what we like to hear. As one!
Oh,
Yes,
nice job back there, yeah.
That was beautiful.
Yeah.
That was beautiful. Now, in
I saw you
Oga's...
guys earlier today.
Yeah. Now, in Oga's, this has also been there since opening day and still is, knock on wood. Don't ever take it away.
Don't give them any ideas.
The Halcyon Help Wanted sign at the bottom of that board in Oga's. This sign, translated from Arabesh to Basic, says, Mechanic Wanted. Experience with Chandrillan Class 1 starship required, and the ability to speak Shriwook a plus. Contact Captain R. Keevan of the Halcyon, CSL. So we all know who that might be talking about. Our beloved Sammy. What a crazy reference. That's been there for years, right in front of our faces. And then we all got to meet Sammy. How crazy is that? Mm-hmm. He's one of our friends now.
I'm glad to know he got the job.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we talked about the Halcyon commercial loop that plays. You can also hear it in the bathrooms in Galaxy's Edge.
It's a weird detail I don't know if we wanted to add, but I'm glad you did.
I had to.
True.
I had to. And look, we have some holo scans here from our voyage, and one of the little details there they included, the bottom left, is the initials in Arabesh of Han Solo and Leia Organa, left in the engineering room when they were actually on their honeymoon, from Princess and the Scoundrel, one of my favorite books.
Who here has
read Princess? Yes.
Love that book.
Great book. Great book. Frozen Grapes, not really a reference, but shout out to the Frozen Grapes.
Shout out to Frozen Grapes.
If you know, you know.
Shout out to
Now,
Those are
there's
surprisingly
not
good.
a holoscan on there, but in the atrium, did anyone look to the left where those steps are that only the cast members could go up? The two lightsaber slash marks. Does anyone know what those are from? Yes, Anakin and Ventress, when they battled it out in the atrium.
Can't wait to see her in Bad Batch 3.
Right?
Also, I'm mad at both of you for not letting me correct my hand. My hand is in the wrong
He's got
position.
the wrong
You and
side
Paris
of
both
the
massage
yeah.
for everybody.
Bothers
Shame.
me.
Dishonor on your family,
Massage
dishonor on
fans,
your
yeah.
cow.
If anyone can Photoshop that for me, I'm serious. I'll send it to you to Photoshop it.
I'll
Now-
give you double weight pays to not Photoshop.
I'll add to that too.
Oh,
I don't want to mispronounce it here in front of Lebeth, because she has corrected me on many times, but we have the fish from the Star Cruiser, the Hydromenes. Hydromenes, I'm so close. But those fish, and
Does
does
anyone
anyone
know
know
the
the
fish's
names of the fish?
Kira and Skeeter.
Kira and Skeeter, okay.
Okay.
Pinky and the Brain,
I like
okay,
that.
and then someone
Lebeth.
else?
Twee and La.
Twee and Lam, okay. That rhymes
Lebeth,
with...
what was it? Yes.
Okay,
Kyle and Kyle's mom
there you
was
go,
ours, yes.
there you go. So, that was one of the things on the Halcyon. If you were the first person to get to the Sublight Lounge, you could name the fish. That was your idea. Oh my gosh, you heard it here first. Heard it here first. Now, going back to our Betu, there is still, knock on wood again, don't take it away, a reference to a one Gaia in the creature stall here at Hollywood Studios. And in Disneyland, it's actually at the Outfitters, Black Spire Outfitters. It's on like a roll of cloth in the ceiling with a tag that says, on hold, Gaia.
The Galactic Superstar.
I don't know what creature she bought, but I really want to know now.
a loft cat.
A Lothcat, you think? I don't know.
For sure.
Yeah, Lothwolf. And then we have the Shugdrador. Yeah, no, I know, that's terrible.
That was
For,
terrible.
no.
I
Yeah,
stole
it
it from
was.
somebody, I don't know.
But it's the cabin for the creator himself, Shugdrabor.
It's Kyle's quarters.
He is the famous Anzellan that founded Chandrila Star Line and built all the Star Cruisers in the fleet, but he built the Halcyon. So they included this on the stairwell leaving the atrium. A tiny, tiny little cabin door. That was, yeah, if you knock on it and stuff, yeah. So cool. Now, the history of the Chandrila Star Line, it's passed through many, many hands, but you can read about it in the Halcyon Legacy comics. But the Hutts even owned it at one time. And there are still trails of like their slime you can find on the floor every now and then, especially around the Sublight Lounge, perhaps, because they seem to lounge a lot there. But it's passed through many a hand in galactic history.
Never get that out of the
No, it's impossible to clean. It's harder to scrub out than resistant scum.
Have you tried Windex?
That's what I need. Noted for March 1st.
Space Windex?
Space Windex. And the High Republic era, which has come out, and we all have fallen in love with. Who here has read High Republic stuff? Nice.
Okay.
The Halcyon helped tow Starlight Beacon in the High Republic. So, I mean, this thing has been around for 275 years. It's helped out everyone. It's been in many a faction, so it's a big part of galactic history.
This is making me sad.
I know. And then, of course, a huge reference to the greater Star Wars universe aboard the Halcyon is the Yoda holocron, where that did make me cry and made me sad in the moment, man. Like, that was an emotionally impactful moment. So they just tied it to the entire universe perfectly throughout the whole experience, but with Yoda showing up at the end.
So if you want more information on the Halcyon, like I said, they only give us 45 minutes and we could talk about that and Galaxy's Edge forever. But we are, again, Jedi Talk, a Star Wars podcast. We've had the great honor to interview former cast members, Jason Keller, who portrayed Wraith Cole, Adam Riley, who portrayed Lieutenant Croy, and Labette, our chemist, who's here in person today. We made a great video, made unhinged Star Wars cocktails with her.
One was pretty good.
Fun
The
video.
other 3 or 4 were not.
And then there's also somebody up there that's not a published episode, but if you got one of our stickers, just scan the QR code and you get the same e-file when we interviewed Sage Starkey, who played Lieutenant Croy. And
Don't tell anyone.
Or do.
And Sammy. So at Jedi Talk Podcast on Instagram, youtube.com/Jedi Talk, Jedi Talk on TikTok, and Jedi Talk Podcast on Facebook. So we don't mourn the Halcyon. We are going to celebrate the Halcyon, but in many ways. So Jedi Talk, along with Stand Up, Lieutenant Rook, everybody, round of applause for Rachel Asbrook here.
This would not be happening.
She created our website. So this is the Halcyon, the legacy continues. This was Evan's brainchild, and Rachel came aboard and was like, "Oh, we should do this," and then we're like, "Yeah, she's really smart."
That
yes,
what
yes.
she said. I second that.
It's a unique, immersive story, fan-driven event led by 3 different factions at Disney's Hollywood Studios on March 1st. Now, if you want more, I do have stickers for this particular
You got to come up with those.
event. I can tell you a whole bunch about it, but I want you to go look it up and check it out. Disney does not sponsor this. This is fan-sponsored. They don't own this.
They are not involved in any way.
But they're led by 3 factions, and it's story-driven, immersive LARPing on Hollywood Studios, doing what the Halcyon did best. And we're going to try to emulate that. We're not going to do a good job at it, but we're going to try.
We're going to do our
really
best.
hard.
We're going to do our best
together.
As one.
Thank you. So the Resistance will be led by Lieutenant Rook, Rachel over here. First Order will be led by Regional Governor of Hana City, Chandrila, Avant Barrick.
For the Order.
Space fascist over here. And I will lead a new faction that I've created called The Cause. The Cause despises the First Order but doesn't trust the Resistance, and very heavily influenced by the partisans in Saw Gerrera. So people have gone onto the website, they've signed up. It's full?
First Order has spots.
First Order has spots?
Like 2 or 3.
Okay. All right, First Order has some
We
spots,
only
so.
take the best, though. That's why we have spots open. I've turned people away.
Yeah, that's not it at all. So if you want to know more about that, see me. I've got a sticker. You can check it out. We're on Instagram, and you can check it out on the sticker. So Brad, next, please. And finally, one of the last things that we'll be celebrating, our dear old Galactic Star Cruiser, which this is sold out. Yep, sold out. Halcyon 2024. You guys want to stand up? Round of applause putting this together. Martin, Christine, stand up.
Martin and Christine.
Celebration of the Halcyon. October 4th to 5th. Check it out. Halcyon on Instagram. And that's it.
That's
Thank
it.
you guys. We've been Jedi Talk. You guys have been
Thank you
awesome.
for coming.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Enjoy your
everyone.
MegaCon.
MegaCon.